Hey.
Well, hello everybody. About to go get a water.
Mm, thought you were going to run away from me.
No, I just had to have my water. The refrigerator I had to defrost my refrigerator the other day. It had so much ice in it I couldn't get waters in there no more.
Well, that happens.
Yeah. All right, what's up everybody? How are y'all? Welcome to the show. It is Sunday night officially. Steve and I are here. He's wearing his purple Vikings hat today. So there's that. And my shop is somewhat cleaner than it was earlier.
Mm.
I had to do a little rearranging. I had to move a bunch of stuff.
That's just a constant for me. I feel
Mm-hmm.
between projects and ideas, like maybe this should go over there, or um, things like it's out of the frame, but grocery conveyor
Perimeter
belts
alert.
for
Driveway.
lasers. Yeah, it feels like a constant shuffle, and it's actually it's frustrating when you want to work on customer projects and just your own projects.
Yeah, well, that was my problem. I had a big CO2 laser taking up my entire little work table right here.
I feel really
Um,
bad for you.
so I had to do some rearranging. But I got it rearranged, and so now the CO2 laser is over there. So yeah, and there's may or may not be a CO2 laser right there under the CNC.
Poor thing.
But
Poor
yeah.
thing.
Well, I got to figure out. I got to figure out which one I want to leave as my primary right now. But at least I have a backup CO2 now instead of just uh, the K40.
Sure.
That, you know,
Yeah.
we've both had one of those.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to have like one of those man cave garage sales, or we'll see. Like I still need to figure out if I'm gonna make it up to the woodworking expo, and maybe I'll have a viewer giveaway.
Yeah. Well, I got lucky today, and I had some old, just like some old scrap wood and some just stuff that I really had no business keeping that I was able to move and get rid of. But yeah, we're kind of busted at the seams right now. So hopefully things will calm down. I don't have any more stuff coming. Hopefully, that's gonna require extra room. So that'll give me a little while to, you know, cycle through some stuff. I know Klein has his eyes on the ASMR over there. So, no, Mark, y'all know better than that. Steve's the one over there with all the cool stuff. This is the one thing that I've managed to get that he didn't get. Which I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't figured out why he didn't
No,
get it yet. So,
that's not true. You don't see a fancy ASMR dual laser thing in my shop.
okay, well the two,
I
the
didn't
two
I didn't get
things.
that cool little swarwer crawler thing.
Let me ship it to you. It's in the box up there.
I don't have a MOPA fiber laser.
Ah, come on now. You're getting carried away here.
I'm just fact checking you. That's all.
Well, I didn't think about all that, but you can quit now. That's
All
enough.
right. But yeah, well, got to poke fun. I mean, we both do anytime something new comes. I did. So I didn't do a full video of this. I posted a quick Amazon video on it because it's just kind of a quick accessory I purchased. But um, when I got my P2, I never got a honeycomb with it, and the initial reports were, and this, that it's a lot smaller than the space, so it can
Oh,
slide around easy without shimming it and such. So I was like, well, I don't really want to buy that one per se. And I came across an Amazon ad for this place called Dofiki, and they make a
yeah.
few laser accessories. And they had one listed as fitting the X-Tool P2 for $59.99. I thought, hey, that's a pretty good price on it. So I went ahead and ordered it. It came in and it fits darn near perfect. There's about an 1/8 inch max play in it,
Yeah.
both front and back, side to side. And they also
Well,
have one that fits the We Create. So both those lasers that come with those kind of the slat type beds, which are great if you're using it for larger material. It's actually less contact area and such, and they're easier to clean. But when you're doing, smaller parts, they tend to fall through there. So,
yeah.
um,
Just for your reference, I just so happened to have a video or a picture
mhm.
on hand. That's my little spacer that I put in there to keep mine from sliding around and moving.
Yeah.
So, so you know
So,
how it
so
comes from.
anyway, I grabbed that. I put out an Amazon video on it just to kind of give other people that might be shopping for it a look. But they have them both for the P2 and the We Create Vision, and so it's worth looking at some of those aftermarket parts because sometimes machine comes out, users have them for a while, they give some feedback, and so that's where the third party aftermarket places can kind of fill a gap. So um, that's been a nice addition to my P2.
Yeah. Well, mine's on vacation right now. Mine was given a vacation.
Mm. So
But I still like the machine mostly.
you ran away.
There, I had to walk over there and flip a switch. But all in all, like I said, not bad. I'm just right now. I am thoroughly testing to see how the latest addition to the shop is going to work, and I've been having a blast with it. So
Cool.
we'll see. We'll see how things go.
Well, I also finally got my stack of rough sawn walnut milled down to close to dimension for what I need. Um, so
Cool.
it's been a little warm up here, a little warm and humid this week. So um, it's hopefully, I always get worried around fall time because it likes to go from summer to fall for a weekend to winter up here some years. I'd really like a longer fall this year, but trying to get some of those things set up and ready because I got a few projects, some picture frames, and some shelves and other things that are both. I don't necessarily want to call them honeydew projects because some of them for things Carla requested, but also things that I've been wanting to do, as well as seasonal projects and such. Looking forward to that, but it always the material prep. That's the thing that if you can think ahead and get that ready because it's always the worst when you're ready to do a project and you realize, oh, I didn't prep material, and that might take a couple hours depending on what it is and the processes involved. So
Yeah. Somebody's asking if I print a lot with PETG. And the answer is currently no, because I haven't really had a need for anything more than what PLA offers. So I've just been using it because that's what I had the most of. Not against it, but you know, if what you got's working, I don't see sense in changing it right now.
yep. um,
Missing some comments here.
are you?
My comments don't go back very long. Huh, I don't know how that happened.
Well, did you break it?
You got me. You know how this stuff's been being here lately.
Yeah.
Like, it's showing, well, maybe I don't know, maybe they're here, the timestamps are just wrong, because I'm just now noticing all my timestamps are exactly the same. Like, every single one of them says the exact same timestamp, so maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what's going on there, but
Hey, you got me.
yeah. So Brian is asking, I had a brace on my hand. You're probably talking about the video, and yeah, I do have a thumb brace on my left hand. I somehow sprained my thumb, and the muscles and the tendon there. is not happy with me. So I'm able to wear this. I'm trying to avoid getting like a solid cast or anything on it, and it seems to be improving. But it's one of those things that you just kind of try to immobilize it and let it heal. So it's more just annoying than anything. But if I take it off and I stretch and twist the wrong way, I feel it. So I try to keep it on.
Well, I got my MRI done last week on my knee. Come
Oh
to
yeah.
find out, my quadriceps tendon that connects my quad to my kneecap is partially torn.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fun, which I knew it was, but
I hear that happens when you get old and retire.
they said it just happened when you got like, clumsy. So,
That too.
but whatever. I got to go see what they're going to do about it. I don't know if they're going to try to stitch it back together. See, as I'm still walking on it, it seems like that would be a bit of a, but who knows? It may wind up having to have surgery, or it may just wind up, being one of those things that I just have to live with. Who knows?
Sure.
But I am tired of these injuries with my mobility. It's really getting old. But it's from what I can tell, it's not torn like. I don't think it's going to be serious enough for surgery, but we'll see. They didn't show me what it looked like, but I knew when they called me back, like within a couple of hours after the MRI, and said, "Hey, we got your MRI results back." I knew it must have been something pretty obvious, because usually it's like 3 or 4 days before you get that call. So I was like, it must have been pretty bad, because whoever like ran the MRI, she must have been like, "Oh yeah, he's got a problem."
Well, I mean, a lot of my other friends, I'd tell them they've been too lazy and they're not exercising. But I know you, in your profession, tend to exercise more than the average person. So,
Well, when I can, I mean, and that's the bad thing is I started back working out, and this happened. So
yeah. Well, don't fall apart before you retire, and/or you got to be like everybody at my place. It's like they get that year and a half, year away from retirement, and they're taking all their sick time to get all the surgeries and the stuff done before.
that seems like that may actually be what I'm doing. So we'll see.
But
Hopefully not. But
anyway, enough talking about injuries. We're here to talk about workshop stuff.
yeah, well,
And hopefully not.
I'm going through the comments, but
Hopefully not workshop injuries.
yeah, but I just realized if you move your browser from one screen to the other, it'll change your timestamps.
Oh, well.
So that's
okay.
what happens. I pitched my browser to the top screen, and it reset all the timestamps. And the reason I know that's what caused it is because when I brought it back down to the bottom, it did it again. So now they all have the same timestamps again.
So, a couple of questions on Atom Stack Hurricane. So that's kind of part of the news this week in the laser world. They Atom Stack dropped their 55-watt desktop laser, and Clack is one of the lucky few that got. They're kind of pre-production ones. So you've got
it is literally a prototype.
Yeah, you got some things that aren't quite the.
But this is it right here.
But interestingly enough, right after that, or about the same time, Xtool also announced their P2S, which is basically the P2 with all the things that people wanted fixed on it. So, so a couple news. Well, like sort of two, but 1.5 new CO2 lasers out there in more of the hobbyist prosumer range, but I don't know that either of us are going to see a P2S anytime soon. But you've got the Hurricane, so what are your initial thoughts on it so far?
I like it. There's still some room for improvement, but I'm going to be honest with you. I've had the P2 for a while, and I got to look at it, thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I never really, other than just acrylic, I never I don't use it that much because it's just using XCS is not my go-to. You know what I mean? So I think that's the reason. And I know, yeah, I know it can work with Lightburn, but you know the cameras get all messed up, and it's just there's some issues with it. But since I've got this one, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've done 2 jobs, like bulk jobs on this thing this week, and like within 2 or 3 days, I had built up enough confidence that I was feeding this thing bottle openers, like batching them out.
Hmm.
And I was like, because I was like the accuracy, the way it runs and everything. I mean, I cut the jig panel out for it, and with the way the honeycomb's in there, I did have to trap the honeycomb. They kind of dropped the ball on that. They should have put me some screws, a pin, something in there for that honeycomb. They kind of messed me up on that, but little redneck engineer, and I fixed that problem. And I made me a jig with some magnets that just sticks in the corner of the honeycomb to do the bottle openers with. And so I ran like 30 something bottle openers on it the other day, and no issues, no problems, and it was smoking fast. Hang on, let me see if I can find the. But yeah, I've got video from it.
Cool.
But yeah, it's doing a really good job. I'm impressed with it. I was like I said, I was a little, I was kind of like Adam Stack making a CO2. But the one thing that I will say is the red dot inside the laser for alignment of mirrors. It took me literally like 15 to 20 seconds to align the last mirror on this thing, because you literally aim it like a red dot laser, and when you get it pointed in the middle, you can see it hitting the paper. You don't have to pre-fire it or nothing like that. It just, when you see that red dot coming down into the work area, then just move it to all 4 corners, make sure that it's still aligned, and boom, you're done. It was literally like 30 seconds confirming that the mirrors were set right. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's that's one of the features that actually one of the tubes that I'd hoped to put in my old CO2, it had one of those, but it required me to swap out the mounts and everything, and I never really got around to that. But having that kind of red dot alignment that comes basically from the tube itself is really nice. Like you say, it makes it a lot easier. You're not doing all the pulse and adjusting it and risking mucking up your mirrors and everything. So it's nice to see that. And that's actually one of the features it sounds like Xtool is adding into their P2S. So definitely taking some user feedback, because that is aligning mirrors is one of the biggest pains on CO2 lasers for the first time you get one. So anything they can do to make it easier is nice. Now, another thing you and I were chatting a little bit about is the working area. It's a little bit narrower than the P2 by about 4 inches, but you were showing me that there's a lot more working or overflow area. The honeycomb is much bigger than the working area, which
Yeah.
is nice for hold downs and such.
See, like that's this is a 20 by 12 board inside the P2, and you can see the P2 is technically about 3 inches or so wider, but so I took that same piece of material and I put it inside the Hurricane, and let me rotate this around, and you can see between it and the Hurricane, between the Hurricane and the P2, there's a little bit of a difference. In the amount of real estate that you have left over. So even though the work area is technically a little smaller, it feels bigger because you can move your material outside of that area. So it's weird, because with this setup right here, if this sheet, let's say this sheet was 16 by 16 or whatever, and I'm trying to engrave or cut out of a piece of 16 by 16, well, the problem you're going to run into is going to be this right here. Well, that ain't it. That's a 27 by 16, but you get the picture. Let's see, where's the 16 by 16 I did? There it is. So if you take a piece of 16 by 16 material and try to do it in the P2, this is what happens because it's hitting the back wall and it can't lay down because of the front wall here. And what I think makes the atom stack feel bigger is because with it, you can take that material and you can lay it on the bed because it has it. Even though the work area is smaller, it has more room for the material to lay down. So it makes it feel like the work area is bigger than it really is. So as long as your design is not bigger than the work area, you can cut or do whatever you need to do. So that was kind of cool. I was like I said, because I kept using it. I'm like, man, it feels so much bigger. Like it seems so much bigger than the P2. And then I got to measure it. I got to look at it. And I'm like, I know the book says it's 4 inches or 3.5 inches smaller, but the way that it's laid out, it just feels larger. So
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that is nice. I mean, I generally am going to want the larger working area on
yeah,
most of my stuff as well. And most of these desktop type machines, people have kind of gotten used to that 12 by 20 or 12 by 24 material
yeah,
size. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of places that sell them in that. So unless you're cutting down your own material, um, that may or may not be a problem for you. It is nice having the extra area for hold downs. But yeah, I know when I talked with Adam Stack about some of their future stuff, I was like, hey, you really should consider stretching that out because I think I know they're looking at it from a
yeah.
shipping and a size and everything, but I think 12 by 24 is a nice area to land at, but they're just a little under that. So
Yeah, it's not terrible. They do have that conveyor thing, which they say they're going to send me. I'm asking them not to because I don't have room for it. But with that, they say that it makes it 500 by 800 work area,
mhm.
which would be cool if you needed it. But like we've talked about with the P2 and some of the other machines, now you've got a machine with a lot bigger footprint. Plus, you have to have room around the machine that's reserved to allow for that material to slide through. And so I don't think it's nothing that I would use long term. If they just insist on me trying it out, I could move the machine back to the table and try it out. But it's not something that I see me needing long term.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing though is it's not one of the roller type; it's the tray type,
Yeah,
which I think works better, especially if you have back and forth because it's cutting, not just a
yeah,
straight line. It's less likely that it's going to move or slip on those rollers than that tray. It does, though, kind of
yeah,
limit it to the size of that tray and such. So,
yeah. It makes it
um,
basically like a bed slinger, 3D printer
yeah,
kind of.
yeah, and I don't know unless you rotate your laser sideways and have it on a long bench. I agree with you. It's just I don't know. I mean, I guess if there are people who need that and they find it useful, but I kind of
Yeah.
like a fixed working area myself.
Yeah, it would be ideal if you had your machine set on a table out in the middle of your work area so that the back and the front was accessible and you didn't have anything right up against it. It would be a lot better. But with mine sitting over there where it's at, I mean, it's kind of like up against a wall over there. So I really have
Yeah.
nowhere. And if anything comes out any further this way, well, that's my little path to get to the door. So I'm kind of gridlocked here. I don't have a whole lot of room to be sitting those kind of things in my way. But we'll see. Because they keep telling me they're sending me the blades for it. I think they said a smoke eater or a filter system and the conveyor. But I'm really not wanting the conveyor if they expect me to use it for any long period of time.
Sure.
Now it may get here, and I may love it, But if I do, I'm gonna have to build a table out in the middle of the work area, kind of like with the CNC. I've got the CNC to where I can roll it away from the wall, and use the full length of it. But that's that's not something I look at doing a lot of. So
Cool. Well, I'm sure a bunch of us will be looking forward to your videos and information on the hurricane. I think what the price they have a a deal right now. Like if you put a deposit of like $99 down, you get $1,000 off. And I think the retail
oh yeah,
price is right around $37.99. So you're going to get it for about $2,800. Um, and just a pitch on top of that, I've been talking with Adam Stack about a few things and more to come on that. But they have given me what they say is a permanent discount that you can apply to any order. So if you are ordering anything from Adam Stack, even if you're using Clack's affiliate link, go ahead and drop Vintari 10 on there, and it will hopefully give you 10% off on top of that. Um, I will. I need to update some of my links and my information, but it's something nice that they're doing. And anytime we can save you guys some money, we like to pass that on. So if you're looking at the Hurricane or any other Atom Stack machine, might as well try using that code and see if you can save yourself 10% on top. But yeah, looking forward to see more of that from you.
yeah. It'll like I said. Hopefully, I'll get some more stuff out about it. But it's just been a little busy trying to get caught up and get everything going. But
Hmm.
yeah, they did pretty good on it so far. Like I said, even with mine being because there's some things that I've already seen in some of the videos where they're changing them, and mine looks a little different than other people's. I mean, so they're still working the bugs out of it, but they did really well on a lot of things. And I've got the video. I just got through editing it earlier, my first video, and it won't be the last because, like I said, I've gave it a seat at the table. So I'm gonna keep it around for a little while and try it out, test it real good, and just see what it can do. And I'm still waiting on some of the other accessories to come in, but yeah, so far I like it. I will say that out of the CO2s that I've had so far, it seems to fit me better. I'm not gonna say it's a better machine. You know, I've got the P2 as well. And the P2 is a great machine. Me and the P2 just didn't flow as well as I'm flowing with this guy for some reason. I think it's got to do with the fact that it was built to work with Lightburn. Like, like, like in Lightburn. Matter of fact, hang on, we'll show you here. Let me get my screen pulled up. Like, you know how a lot of the machines, it gets a little buggy, like trying to operate them with Lightburn. But like, see, I've got now. It does have this active fire extinguishing thing, which is I think is a bit. I don't know. It's not something I'm going to be using. But basically, you put water in line with the air assist system, and if you click or if you turn it on, it will actually spray water on fires that like are inside the machine. I'm not going to be using that, but they're saying they do have that option. But yeah, I mean, to set the focus, you literally like I don't have any material in there, but you literally just move the machine out here into the work area, hit that focus button, and it will set the focus. Now, I don't know exactly why they put two of them in here, but see that one says autofocus max depth 1.5 millimeters, and this one just says ESP 500. This is the one I've been using, and it works fine. I'm guessing maybe this is to set the focus like 1.5 millimeters deep. Not real sure. Haven't got into playing with that. I've just been running it with the regular focus button over here, and it works good. But I am going to get rid of these because I don't need that, and I'm gonna move my focus button over here. A little more convenient. But camera works good with it. Calibrating it was a little tricky because the lights inside are real bright, so I had to take a little bit of painter's tape and put over those lights to dim them down. But other than that, it's worked good, and it is working with Lightburn. So
Cool.
that's a win in my book.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see more of the diode manufacturers branching out a little bit. Not all of them are perfect or ideal per se, but competition tends to breed innovation. So
Yeah.
I should see them doing that.
Uh, you can do both, Sharon. You can actually export to Gmail or save them. I have, and since I've already got my files open right here, if you go into mine and go to my material test, I've got like a whole bunch of already saved tests that I do. But you can that to me that's the easiest way to do it, and you just go in here and pick the one that you want, make sure the settings are appropriate for the machine you're using, and just send it. But yeah, this is to me this is better than exporting the G code.
Cool.
BRB.
Seeing a couple questions, like Bill has dropped a question there. Got an ad from Aether for the L2 with CAD rotary and riser accessories for $577. Bought the V35 for 1800 a while back. In the corner it says Atom Stack authorized. I'm not really sure what's up with Aether or Tezer or however you say that. When they originally came out, Atom Stack also launched IKEA as kind of their high-end brand, and the Aether and the IKEA machines are very close and identical. Um, it seems like they've been kind of fire sailing a lot of the Aether stuff, so I don't know if they're being kind of culled from whoever the behind the scenes, the silent partner owners are, but also in talking with there used to be atomstack.com and atomstack.net. Now there's atomstack.com and IKEA, so they're kind of all over the place. But I don't think either Clack or I have heard from Aether for probably a good year plus. I know a lot of people have been struggling to get anything from them as far as parts, so I would proceed with caution anything from them. Now, as far as Atom Stack and IKEA, I have had contact with both of them over the time, and I've more been in touch with Atom Stack over the years. They've been one of the most consistent ones in the past 2-3 years that I've dealt with and worked with, and I think a lot of them have been going through some restructuring recently. But they're still producing, they're still making things, and yeah, you're probably going to see similar or the same parts from Atom Stack as you would from Aether or IKEA as of late. So if it were me, I'd be looking at what deals that maybe Atom Stack has, because I think they're the ones kind of still out there and responding to things.
Yeah, they like I said, they seem to be. Atom Stack seems to be innovating. I was really shocked when they told me they had a CO2 laser. Uh, I didn't know what to expect. I figured it was going to be kind of along the same lines as a lot of the other ones, but they went to the what is it, the Core XY, I guess, set up as far as well. I think this one is. I didn't pay no attention, but a lot of the machines, like the P3 and several of the others, the way they're going at it and the speeds they're starting to get the machines at with the diodes, and now with this CO2 using the same technology as Atom Stack uses and all the other ones as far as the movement and interfacing it with Lightburn, it's really fast. I thought I was gonna have to adjust the belts and everything, but it's just so far. I did have a bit of a issue with the gantry when I first got it because my FedEx guy apparently dropped it and busted the corner of the box, and so the gantry was a little skewed inside there where it had slammed. But once I got that fixed, it's been working fine since then.
Cool.
Okay, now they've taken basically what they've done is they've taken the A70. If you look at the way the belts and everything work in the A70, they flipped it around and put that synchronizer bar in the far reaches of the machine. But it looks basically like you took the guts of an A70 and put it inside that box. But yeah, it's a lot faster than a 70 watt though.
Cool. Gordon's asking, anybody see the CO2 laser on Rich's channel he did this morning? It's a pretty good deal. I have not. I've been in the workshop and watching football, working on the workshop all day, and so I haven't really caught up on anything posted to YouTube today. Looks like it's RM laser. I've seen a few other people with those. As far as the YouTube influencer peoples. Um, but I don't have a whole lot of opinion on him. So I guess I'll have to watch his video and see what sort of deal he's got going on with that. But um, they're looking like more of the bigger cabinet style lasers and such. So just know that that's a investment in space, and delivery is usually freight in a big palleted crate. So that's when you're kind of stepping it up, and there's some logistics involved. But
Yes. Yes, sir. I haven't seen a picture of it. Oh, okay. I see it now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd say a crate. Yeah, that's great. No. Do, 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 do. Let's see. What else we got going on here? What up, Stephen Ray? Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Acer, use caution. Somebody asked me the other day. I like the P20s and the V35 machines, but if you buy one, just buy one, knowing that I'm hearing some bad things about their support right now. The L2, I actually took my L2 video down because I had so many people message me about having problems with them, and Acer wasn't like responsive, and so I've actually hidden my L2 video. So, and that's the only video I've ever hid of any machine I've ever done. So, for what it's worth, just understand that I actually hit a video that I did on a machine that at the time I liked it, but since then it's been pretty problematic. Now the V35s and the P20s, I've still got my V35, and they just work. Those were just tanks.
cool. Yeah.
ETs won't know. Can I engrave a photo on a mirror with a Monport CO2 laser? Uh, the one thing I will tell you is photos on a mirror. The one problem you're going to run into is shading, because between lasered and not lasered, there's not a whole lot of room right there. So with mirrors, usually you're taking the material off completely, or you can't tell you took it off at all. And so that's where yes, you can engrave a mirror with an image, but the quality or the how it turns out, just don't have too high results expectations, because you're going to miss a lot of the shading that is in photos. You're going to miss that. It's going to be more like just like a black and white photo as opposed to a grayscale photo.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that's true with a lot of mediums, though, when you're talking about doing photos.
Yep. Sometimes you can get around with that by doing a multi-process thing of engraving and then painting and then re-engraving. So it just depends on how involved you want to be. But then you kind of got to be able to do that without moving it, or have like a jig that's really going to hold it in place. Because on a photorealistic one, even a fraction of a millimeter can mess it up a little bit. So you definitely need to be careful on that one. So, but yeah. Ortour's coming out with a 40-watt module. Yeah. Speaking of videos we've hidden, about the only one I've hidden is when they came out with their 20-watt module, and they sent a number of us upgrade kits that were not the same as what they were sending customers. What they ended up they sent us a whole new bar, like the front end that had the new controller in it. And what they sent customers was a module with this like PCB board that you literally zip tied onto the side of the thing. And people were, that's the thing. I mean, I had people angry in the comments. I had people angry emailing me telling I was sending out false information and whatnot. I was like, hey, this is what they sent me. I had no idea. And I contacted Ortour, and they said, oh, it's no big deal. And I'm like, yeah, no, it is a big deal. You're causing people to distrust me And so they, and then I also had a problem with the module, and they were trying to get me to check other things, and it was just wrong. They wouldn't replace it, and so I'm kind of. I mean, I hate to say it, that the LM3 was the 10-watt LM3 was a really nice laser at the time, but I feel like they lost some of their original leadership, and they've kind of gone downhill in my mind. So I kind of don't work with them anymore on anything, because I feel like they did a
Yeah.
disservice to me, and they did a disservice to those people who did want to do the upgrades. So
Yeah, if you remember, man, you got the same kit. Like they sent us the front of the machine, and you
yeah,
literally just bolted it off, bolted the other one on, plugged everything up, and but yeah, yeah, I haven't heard from them either, and really hadn't, like you said, they have changed since the LM3. The LM3 I got from them was pretty cool, and the 20-watt LM3 wasn't bad, but I didn't have to do the Frankenstein modification that other people did either, like you said. So,
yep.
well, Fred, good luck with understanding it. I mean, pretty much, if you can understand a 10-watt laser in Lightburn, it works the same. They all work the same in Lightburn. Dark Force Made is asking, have you had any issues with the X-Tool F1 in the sunlight? Some folks are saying the flame sensor is stripping. I'm not doing an event next week. I am doing an event next week and need to be prepared. I haven't had any issues with mine. I just used it yesterday. But now it wasn't all that sunny outside. I've used it at 2 different events and haven't had any problems. But you can actually disable the sensors if they become problematic. It's just a matter of flipping a switch inside of XCS. And I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm saying if you're at an event and you can't make any money because you keep getting triggers, you can if you choose to. Somebody the other day, you shouldn't be telling people to do that. Oh, so I should just tell them to sit there and not make any money all day. But if your machine's not working and you're sitting there at an event, hopefully you're not going to let it, you know, catch fire. What are you
Yeah.
making over there, Steve?
I was just looking at my F1 because I agree with you. You proceed with caution, disabling any of the safety features on anything, but I do generally turn those down or off when I can. I just didn't recall the F1 having one. I know the Ultra does, but
I don't remember it, but I mean, all the X-Tool stuff generally has them. So,
yeah. So I would agree. Safety and features are great until they, you know,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just like a spam filter. You gotta check it, because sometimes you get false positives. So, um, but definitely, if you can, keep it out of the direct sunlight, and you're gonna have less issues. So if you got a shade tent, and maybe if you can, add a wall to it, you'll feel better for one thing, and it'll help that. But otherwise, yeah, turn it off if you need to. So, hey, hey,
Look, hey, look what Cody, look at Cody speaking, and look at this very next question.
nice.
Well, funny you should ask, Nicholas. I have tried several different CNC bits, and yes, I understand if you're new to CNCing, you're probably gonna want to go with something cheap because you plan on breaking a few of them, which is probably going to happen. And if you're like me, you're not going to break any of the cheap ones. You're going to wait until you start buying some good ones before you start breaking them. But I pretty much use Cody's bits, the Genie bits, and you should be able to see the sticker all over my spindle over there. But that's basically all I run on my big machine. And even the hobby machines, I've started testing them with like the 1/8" Genie bits and stuff, and they do a really good job in the hobby machines. Now, when you get down into needing like a 30-degree V bit in an 1/8" shank, you kind of out of luck with with Cody's bits. But for cutting and for the big heavy lifting. The 1/8 inch Genie bit works great in the same smart machines that I've used, whether it be a spindle, the trim router, or whatever. And I know you've done some testing with the 4040 Pro recently
Mhm.
and done the same, and I think you had good results, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually I ran one of their stock bits because with that machine they only sent three of those little 4 millimeter. I forget, it was like a
Yeah, it's a
30
flat
degree.
tip, 30
Yeah.
degree.
Um, so I swapped out to my 1/4 inch collet and I just dropped in my various Jenny bits and it ran fine on that one. So,
Yeah,
but
it's those little things right there. It's just this is the ones that they sent with the machine. It's just like a little blade.
yeah,
And for engraving, those are okay. But if you're trying to remove a bunch of material, you're going to be there a while.
I,
I
I
made I made this with the Jenny
for
bit.
for a minute there I thought you were gonna do a dig on there. It's like unless you need to be working with a 30 degree V bit, which is never in stock on his website.
No, I
Poking fun
probably
at you,
should.
Cody.
I probably should. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, there you go. Apparently I'm getting a 30-degree
Yeah,
V
I
bit.
see that. Well, they are. At least he has them on pre-order now, so you can
Yeah.
you can get that
No,
in for when he does have them in
I
stock.
did get a notification from UPS saying I had a package coming from Nevada. So
Well, he's in Arizona, so I don't know
is
what's
it
coming from
Arizona or
Nevada.
Nevada? I don't know. Well, I mean, double check. I thought it
Come on,
said Nevada.
come
Hold
on.
on. I may have something else coming. I hope not.
Mm,
I'll have to
getting
find it.
surprise packages in the mail, huh?
I'll have to find it. But yeah, I could have sworn it said Nevada. Maybe it said Arizona. But yeah. But that's all this empty area right here. That was a Genie bit. No sanding, no nothing. And it looks great. So
Cool, but yeah, we there's I know I have it in the link of most of my videos for Cadence Manufacturing. We did drop that in the chat as well. So if you're looking for some quality bits that are actually geared, and that's the nice thing is that Cody has designed these around um, everything from the hobbyist machines on up, and so they're going to work pretty well with them. And I've been using them for I don't know how many years, probably since he's been making them and been very happy with them. I don't break them near as often as Clack does, but
hey, well, I will say this. It's because they told me, hey, you got to start walking them up. You got to start speeding them
yeah,
up. And I see how fast other people are going with them. And so I start speeding them up. And so far, it's not my speeds and feeds not the problem. The first one was because I had a brain fart and I had somebody in the shop and I forgot to turn my spindle on. And a spindle that is not spinning does not cut real good. It will break a bit. The other day, the only reason that bit broke is because I put like 2 pieces of double sided hold down tape on there instead of 4 because the end of the board broke loose right at the last cut. And when it did, it tried to cut through 3/4 inch of red oak at, I think I was running 170 inches per minute on that
mm,
bit. So it was a little bit more than it could handle for one pass.
well, well, yeah. I mean, speaking of the 4040, I do have a couple projects queued up that, assuming it cools down here, and I'm trying to button up a couple other things first too. Want to get working on and have some videos out on as well. So I'll be pushing some of those bits a little bit more. But another thing that I'm interested in, and I think Dave was in here earlier, or maybe he still is, but Dave Gatton's been playing around with the Nemo Lab CNCs, but they have a 4-axis USB CNC offline controller for GRBL machines. I'm really curious. I think it may actually work with the smaller ones like the 4040 and such. And what I'm seeing on there is it's got some like speed overrides both for feed rate, rapid rate, as well as spindle. It's $150 on it right now. It's on pre-order. But I mean, if it gives you that level of control, and I don't have to have it, I don't have to be using, G Sender or Candle or any of those things, it might be worth that upgrade. And I may just have to try that out because, like you said, when you're playing with the bits, it's nice to be able to set up a job and be able to adjust
Bump
the
it.
speed. You can bump it up, whereas on most of these, it's kind of locked in. You got to stop the job and
Well, if you'd got a Shipoko, you could bump it up as you're cutting.
yes, or if I got the newest Onefinity, or if I used any of my older Mach 3 machines. But none of these other
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
GRBL ones are as
Yeah
easy to
the
do that.
yeah the way I do my bit test with it's a little frustrating. Like when these new machines come in because you basically you make a little pocket like a little circle or a little square or whatever, and you set it, and then you run the G code, and you're like, oh, that's too slow, and then you got to go back into VCarve, change it, re-export it, re-import it, run it again, and you're like, oh, need to go faster, and it does take a lot longer than if you could just like bump the speed up, find the sweet spot, and then go in and route the file. And that's what I usually do with my Shipoko. I've gotten now to where I'll go over there and just hit that button, add 10%, 10%, 10%, and then when I get it to where I want it, I write it down, come back over here to the computer, and adjust my speeds and feeds in my VCarve. So that gives me and I'm slowly getting to where my jobs are getting faster and faster because I was really nervous about breaking my machine when I first got it, and I was being like uber conservative, and I've learned that I actually can get better cuts and like smoother cuts going faster than I can if I go too slow.
Mhm.
Because you go too slow, and it just it's not as good on the bits, builds up heat, all these other things. But when you're first starting out, you have to learn these things and get used to it because you don't want to push it so hard that you break something. But then when you realize that it's not that easy to break a CNC, then it's like, okay, let's go, let's get it done.
Yep. And according to Ryan, Dave, who's been testing those out, he's dropped his a few times. He's done the drop test for us. It sounds like the controllers are pretty stout. So we'll see. I'm going to be watching that one. I know there are a few others that are they're out there, but the fact that this one will drop into a lot of these GRBL machines is what I'm excited about. So
Yeah. Royal's asking about the smoke purifier from X Tool. I do not have that one, so I'm going to leave this one to you, sir.
yeah, so I do have one of them. So he's talking about air coming out of the top. Yeah, that very much could be, and you can play around with maybe adding if you get some of that it's like window or door foam rubber insulation. You can add a little bit of an extra buffer, but yeah, they're the problem is that the case itself, air is gonna leak out of it anywhere there is space, and they are I don't know they work okay. They cut down on it, but they're not perfect. So um, I I do hear they're coming out with like a version 2. I don't know if it's going to be any better, but yeah, if you're having problems with it coming out of the top, I would definitely maybe try picking up some of it's like a foam rubber that's got an adhesive on the back. Try adding a little bit extra, and it'll maybe help a little bit. I've added, like electrical tape or whatnot that kind of to seal gaps as well on certain venting and such. And it's a little frustrating on there because the top is how you open it up and get at the filters. So um, yeah, I don't expect a whole lot out of them. I generally only use them in here if it's really cold outside and I don't want to be pulling in cold air and dumping out hot air in the middle of winter, or if I'm taking a laser to an event and want to cut down on the smoke. I'll try to run them there. But outside of that, I don't put a lot of faith in the smaller desktop air purifiers.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Key and Kevin are both saying that Bob CNC and Open Builds allows feed rate changes, which a lot of the softwares do. And
Yeah.
that's like I said, that's with the Shipoko. That's the one thing I do like about using their software is they allow that. Like I said, you do it in like 10% increments. So it's pretty handy.
Yeah, it's actually a fairly common feature. I'm not sure why on the BuildBotics thing that Onefinity decided to use on their standard machines. Why that's never been a feature, because it's fairly common. It's been around for years on a lot of others. So
Yeah. Maybe they just forgot about it.
I don't know. The Masso controller on the Elite series is nice, and that's one of the features I would really love to have, but I just don't know that it's worth the $2,000 upgrade for me right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, until I get a larger shop, there will be no more CNCs, no more big CNCs in my plant.
Yeah, they take up a lot of space. So
Yeah.
it's it's one of those things where when you're getting a machine, whether it be a laser or a CNC router or even a 3D printer, it's always nice to get a bigger bed size because you never know when you're going to have a project that needs it. But you get into these larger CNCs and you start questioning your purchase because you also realize you look at your spoil board and like 25% of it is really cut up from usage, and 50% of it is almost clean, never been touched, and then there's that other 25 that you occasionally use. So it's yeah, it's nice to have it when you need it, but the rest of the time you're going, boy, this is sure taking up space in my work spot. So
Yeah. Well, luckily here lately, I've actually been able to, like, I did those things the other day, the Alabamas, where I did the 4 foot long boards. And so it was pretty handy. But now, technically, I could have turned them sideways and done them, I could have done them any other way, but that's probably the biggest, longest piece of material I put in my CNC so far was those 4 foot pieces of oak. Uh, but there again, I got it if I need it, so I'm pretty pleased with it.
yeah.
And I have used over the 24 or 36 inches. I haven't quite stretched it out to 48, except for that one job so far. But
Yeah. So Dark Forest is saying they've been using beta testing the new XCS and Xtool's new AI engine. There's some good things coming down the line if they get the pricing model right. Um, yeah, that's one thing. I know David just earlier was talking about using Lightburn over XCS and such, and just being more comfortable with it. And I've been that way, but on some of these newer machines, I've been using XCS more, and also playing around with some of their creator tools, be it their AI generators. They have an embossing tool, um, and that's one of the things with the Xtool ecosystem is I know there are cheaper ways to get into similar machines, but they have been making part of their thing is that Apple-esque kind of model is where they want to have a good experience for the end user, that it's easy, that the unboxing is really everything's put nicely in places. They have nice packaging, and it is a bit of the easy button, and you pay for that. You're paying more for what you could get in equivalent, but um, not to say they're perfect and everything, but I think they have probably put the most into their accessories and software um, to at least push the envelope. Not all of them work beautifully, but they continue to refine them, and things get a little bit better over time. And I think that's part of what you're getting with X Tools. So
yeah, I like using the XCS with my F1 at events because of the multiple canvases and stuff. But there's just some jobs and some things that I just don't like using XCS for.
yeah, there are things. I mean, even just today, I was setting up a file, and I needed to do a trace operation on an item, and I ran it through XCS, and it came out ugly. I dropped it into Lightburn, and it was actually right off the bat was almost exactly what I needed. So there are times that jumping between the two is definitely helpful to save some time or do a feature in one or the other. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's it's some of the better software I've seen provided from a manufacturer. Of course, it locks
Oh
you
yeah,
in
that's what I
the
say
machine.
now for a manufacturer software, it's one of the better ones. I will say that because Adam Stack, is coming out with theirs now, and
Hmm.
it's where XCS was in the early days. I guess it might have some features that work better, but I played around with it a little bit, just checking it with the Hurricane. Did a couple of power speed tests and stuff with it, and then I moved on because it's same situation. I want Lightburn, so I left out of there.
Well, and it's also like We Create with their Make It software. When that first came out, it was frustrating. They're still not there with it. I don't think they're at the XCS level and definitely not at the Lightburn level, but it definitely makes it easier to get started for someone completely new to it. So
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Harry said that they left that option off of the Onefinity just to harass you.
yeah, well, I doubt it was targeted just at me, but they succeeded. If that's the case. So, uh, wow. Jared's got their CNC in an 8x8 building, but it's the only thing in there outside beside the shop. And have a camera mounted above, keep an eye on it, and phone replay. That's, I mean, if I had my machine in an 8x8 building, I'm not sure I could squeeze around it too much because that leaves, I've got 48-inch working area on mine, but then there's more table, and then there's always things on the outside. I think, and it's too James Dean Designs. It's always funny too. He's actually put some of those in some of his videos where it sounds like he's got a small working area and he's sometimes crawling under the bench to get to the backside when he's trying to do videos and such. So it's
Yeah, I saw it the other day where he was talking about he couldn't get to the backside.
yeah, it's you make do with what you got, right? And So I've seen some people squeeze a lot of tools into small, tight areas and they make it work. And usually that necessity of getting, it creates invention. When you got to make things work in a smaller area, you figure out ways to route things and store things and jig things. I mean, some people mount them on walls and run them sideways.
Yeah. Speaking of Adam Stack software, I'm going to show you this right quick because I think you might actually like it. But there it is, sir. This is and the camera does remarkably well with their stuff. So it looks a lot like some of the other softwares that we use. If you didn't notice, but yeah, and you can change it absolute current position and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's very basic. It does look a lot like, to me, it looks a lot like the We Create software. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of start feeling like they're, we all get I'm sure you probably get the emails of like, hey, I'm a web developer and I can make a new site for you. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You've probably got a template and you're just going to drop my info on it and publish it.
Yeah. It seems like everybody bought the same software and they're just adding their own little flavor to it.
Yeah. Yep. But
But
anyhow,
but it does work. It's just very basic. Very basic.
well, they got to start somewhere, and it's nice. Like I say, it's nice to have manufacturers providing an option. Because I know a lot of people, when they get the lasers, they get into Lightburn and they're just overwhelmed with the options. I mean, it's kind of, it's the same way I felt when I jumped into Illustrator and Photoshop the first time. It's just like there are too many buttons here. So it's nice when they offer kind of the easy mode to get started.
Paul's done found himself falling down a rabbit hole. Paul says he watched us about a year ago and bought a Lasermatic MK30. Really likes the laser. Ooh, what in the world? Says he recently added a Bamboo A1 Mini, having lots of fun with it. Now he needs a CNC. He said it never ends, does it? No, sir, Paul, it does not. And as soon as you think you've got everything, they'll come out with something new that you don't have. I can promise you. I've been battling that for a couple of years now. Why I'm gonna have to get up and run laps around the shop. I'm starting to yawn. It's been a long weekend, guys. Long weekend. We had a ball game the other night, playing catch up, and this whole knee, my back's giving me problems again. It's just, I'll tell you what, I'm just falling apart.
You just sound like an old man.
You reckon?
There's one for you.
Well, that depends on. I'll show you what I got. This is what I use is a Atom Stack, the ones that I use, and this is the observation camera, but they are in all of my videos. If you go and look up a camera, it's the same one I use for my enclosure Zilla over here, and the same one I used when I put the camera in the We Create. It's a 165-degree fisheye camera, which is very forgiving if you can't get it real high above the work area. But now I will tell you, if you don't get it high enough, it does make it difficult to get a good calibration on the entire work area. So there is that it ain't gonna work range. Like if you can't get above like 16 or 18 inches, you start getting into causing problems, getting cameras calibrated. But mine works really well. I've got the A70 Max, and I guess I could show you what it looks like right quick. Turn that on, get some light burn fired up over here, and I'll show you what it looks like with everything in there. A70 Pro. So here we go. Bottom screen. So there's my A70 Pro. As you can see, camera is in the top of the enclosure. I'm going to have to move the module out of the way. Update the overlay. See if I got some scrap down here. Demonstrate it for you. Let me find a piece of wood. I don't want to use good wood. Hang on.
I feel like I need to cue up some Jeopardy music or something.
Whatever. All right, so got a piece of wood in there, and we will draw a circle. Let's see, what size circle we want to do. Let's do a 20 by 20. That way it won't fall through my honeycomb. All right, so we're going to do a little 20 by 20 circle. Change that to, we'll need way more than that. We'll set that to 20 millimeters a second. One pass. 0 Z offset. We'll put that over there on it and frame it. And the only reason I'm really framing it is because I've got actually need to move it over here, and then I've got to go and hit my autofocus. Not that I really have to focus on this little piece of material, but you know, whatever. And so we'll just hit the old start button there. All right, so update my overlay. There you go. I know what you're thinking. It's a little off, and you're correct. I think I haven't calibrated lately. Let's see if I can move that around. But they're never going to be perfect. But what you want to do, like I said, I think I may even have the right one. Let me see if it's pulling the right camera. Yeah, it's pulling the right one. But they're just basically tools to use to be able to be proportionate with stuff. You still want to frame, like say if you were trying to come up with a square the size of this and you wanted to be able to position it. That's what I use them for. I don't try to use them for exact placement of items per se. What I try to do is I just try to use them as tools to be able to come up with how how big do I need to make something, or positioning it to be the right shape. And that's what I use them for, that tracing, and just giving me a visual of what's going on there. So yeah, but there you are. That's the fisheye camera that I use. And if you go to most any of my videos, you'll be able to see which one I'm talking about. There's an Amazon link in every video that I've made. So there you are. And you can even turn all the brightness and all that, adjust it to your liking. But yeah, just a camera, just another tool, guys. Just another tool. Turn that off. You didn't ever key no music up or nothing, Steve?
I was noticing there's a new button over on the side that's called music, but I'm afraid to click on it and
Oh, we got a
the
music button?
good old copyright strike.
Copyright. But yeah, it's cameras are handy, but never count on them 100%. If you adjust them and you've tested them that afternoon, you can get a little bit more dependability on them. But moving through the work area, and I know for a fact I moved some stuff around today when I was wrong button, when I was over here like rearranging all this. So probably my camera needs to be recalibrated because it changed port numbers, because I had to move my USB hubs and everything. So wouldn't surprise me if my stuff's all messed up over there, because that camera is usually a lot more accurate than that. So
Cool. Fred's asking if either one of us could do a series of videos using the WeCreate Vision compatible Lightburn and WeCreate Vision. I've been wanting to get mine back out and test it now that the latest version of Lightburn is supporting the integrated camera. But it's just been a time thing. It's not a laser I use day in and day out, so I got to move things around and get it set up to do that. So if I get time, yes, but it'd be a few weeks yet before I could even think about dragging that out, unfortunately. So
yeah, mine are my 40 watt is actually over at Klein's place right now.
Olson's asking about any experience with laser or layered maps for laser cutting. Wondering about the method. I've dabbled in that a little bit. I think so. Is it Snazzy Maps or something like that has some default templates that you can adjust them. It's one of those things where it's a bit fiddly depending on the location. And I have always found myself, especially in our area, we've got a couple rivers that come together in town, a lot of streets that aren't straight, because of there's a bend in the river. So the streets kind of all, they're not all north, south, east, west and whatnot. So I haven't had a lot of experience with it. As far as getting the process down that, works 100% of the time. But yeah, I've done that where you pull the map out of there, you trace it, and then go from there. But there was a company I know, a few people have been playing around with. I can't remember. I think they reached out to you at one point.
Yes,
and it makes it easier. But from what I understand, it's if you're doing a lot of different maps, it could get a little spendy.
Yeah, they reached out to me a lot. Mapmaker or something. Mapmaker. I had kept the email for a while, and then it literally got to where it got a little spammy on my end, so I wound up deleting the email. But
I think it's a laser map maker.
Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, they were really pushing it, and it seemed like a decent product as far as being able to do the job. I think Steve over at Steve Makes Everything did a video with it. So if you're interested, you can go check out the video he did. But some of the complaints that I heard from people that were talking about it was the price. It just got a little expensive for, because by the time you pay for the software, you've got to really be churning those things out to justify the expense. And so that's kind of that's kind of one reason why I didn't really get into it, because it was like, how many of those are you going to have to make to try to pay for the software? And it was, if that's your thing and you're into it, then yeah, you could probably do it. But if you're just wanting it to do one map, it's probably not going to be that cost efficient for you.
Yeah, it looks like it's one of these like monthly payment things, and so it starts out at $10 a month, and you get so many credits per year. I don't know how many credits it takes to do a map on there, but again, you're paying for the ease. They make it easier. So if you only need to make a few of your local area and you're going to sell a lot that way, maybe that's a good way to go. But I can't speak to it. I haven't played with it. I know I've seen a couple other people post videos on them and such. But there are other videos out there that will kind of step you through some of the processes. Actually, if you're good at it and you have access to some GIS software, they're pretty good at exporting various layers. So you can tell them I want infrastructure, or I want parks, and I want lakes and waterways, things like that. Um, you can build it that way. But yeah, there is. I've yet to find the free easy button on that whole process. So
Yeah. Forget Me Not's asking, says, recently got some 1/8 inch ply and had extra hard back ply and difficulty cutting it with a 20 watt or tour. Is there a way to tell for sure if it's the wood or if the laser's getting weak? I mean, just you should be able to tell, like if you take a knife or something and try to cut it, or if you try to cut it with a, with a an actual like a handsaw or something, you should be able to tell a difference. But for the most part, if your laser is, I haven't seen one. I've seen one the other day. I actually had one come into the shop the other day that something happened to the alignment of the lenses or something, because when you back the focus way up instead of having like a line, it one of them was turned sideways. I don't know what happened inside that module, but so far that's the only module I have seen to where it was emitting light, but it just, even with a good lens and everything, it would not cut. And I don't know what happened inside it, but how Steve, when you can like raise the focus up like 6 inches and you can see the individual lasers. Well, with this one, it was a 20 watt, and like, was it three of them were flat, and then one was like, it looked almost like you were keeping score, like the little 5 check hash marks. And I don't know what happened with it, but it would not cut for nothing. So my guess is it's probably the plywood. Just try some different wood and see if you have different results. But
well, yeah. As far as being able to tell if the laser's getting weak, that's one of the good reasons to do some material tests, especially early on. If you've got a standard material that you use, do a material test. And I even like, especially when I'm doing, reviewing a machine and I create my sample pieces, I get those gallon-sized Ziploc bags and I just shove everything in there and I hang on to that for a little while. I'll have my notes in there. But if you keep a record of your material test, you'll be able to see, well, right away when I was doing it, I was averaging this speed, this power and this speed. And if you're suspecting something, you can run one of those again and see where it's at. Now, I like to run it more than once, just to kind of ensure that it's not just a weird piece of wood. But that'll give you a bit of a baseline as long as it's a consistent type of material. But outside of that, making sure you do a good cleaning on it, visually inspect the cover lens, and if you're suspecting maybe a power loss, inspect the actual focus lens if you can. Sometimes a piece of dust gets in there, and if that fuses onto there, it's going to start diffusing the focus, and it's going to mess up your beam. So, yeah, there's not always a good way. I mean, in CO2 lasers, sometimes you can take a look at the beam, the plasma in the tube, and it goes from like a pink down more to a whitish color, and that's a sign that it might be going bad. But even that, you kind of need to know what it was for and then see the color change. So that's where if you can kind of get a baseline on it. But outside of comparing with other people, what they're getting on the same material, yeah. There are some materials out there that are just ugly and horrible to cut. So,
Yeah, especially if they have MDF in them. So
well, depending on the type of MDF, some MDF cuts beautifully, others cuts horrible. So,
every bit of it I've tried, it cuts worse than just regular plywood does. That may cut smooth, but you have to pat the brakes a little bit for it.
hmm
David Wine's asking, any experience with the Monport or Vivor CO2? Need more cutting speed than S1. I am hands-on techie, so no problems doing repairs or upgrades. I've actually had the Monport M40, but although it does work, it is it's more of a DIY type CO2 laser in my opinion. So it's not a fire and forget type scenario.
so yeah, a lot of these inexpensive lasers are, they're generic machines that they ask for a paint color and maybe a logo put on them. They're very similar. In some cases, they do say, okay, we want it built this way, but these specific components we want a little bit differently. But a lot of them are fairly similar. They use a lot of the same components, and or have interchangeable components to some degree. So that's kind of where I was at when I originally got my CO2 laser, coming up almost 9 years ago. Um, I I had enough experience with CNC machines at the time. I had been doing a fair amount of research on the CO2 lasers and what they took, that I was okay dealing with some of the issues myself. And so I actually bought mine off of random seller on eBay, rolled the dice that way. Um, and so as long as you're okay with limited support and possibly just going and sourcing your parts, aftermarket, you could roll the dice on whatever deal you're going to get at that point. Viva and Monport, they've been around for a while, so you're probably not going to get just complete radio silence from them, but you may also get, I mean, even places like Grizzly, who makes a lot of woodworking machines, they have some rebranded lasers and such, and oftentimes they're just handing the support off to, you know, Chinese factory and such. So, um, my only experience with Monport has been the little M40. It was, okay build quality for what it was. Um, and Viver, I think, is going to probably be the exact same machine with a different color scheme on it.
Well,
So,
believe it or not, I just got to looking. Believe it or not, they actually have
mhm.
larger machines. I didn't know they made any largers, but yeah, they do have a K40 series, but they also have bigger ones. But you know, I'm looking at it, and it's basically like the standard, like you said, the cookie cutter Chinese stuff. I mean, not that it's bad. I mean, that is a big machine for $4,000, but
Yeah, it like I say, they're basically just reselling at that point. So as long as if you're comfortable doing up your own upgrades and repairs, there's a lot of good sources for parts within the U.S. To help with that if that's where you're based, and or it's fairly easy to source. The controllers and the steppers and uh, one of the things that on mine is the power switch and the e-stop button. Those are things that were often failures, and you got to be comfortable maybe going through it and checking the wiring, because there were a lot of loose connections or poorly wired connections that need to be redone. But yeah, it is what it is when you're getting kind of these low entry level, inexpensive CO2 lasers.
yeah. See, this is basically the Monport M40 right there, like that little clamp bed thing or whatever that's on there. So yeah, it's. I mean, that or it does have wheels. I don't know why they put wheels on it, but it does have wheels. I guess so it can roll off the table. I'm not sure, but yeah.
And there you got Ryan. He's got a 60 watt and has been rock steady. Yeah, a lot of these they're probably going to work just fine. The real question is when something goes wrong, are you able to get any support, or can you at least just find parts somewhere? The internet's probably going to be just as helpful. User groups, channels like this and such are probably going to be just as helpful as some of the company's support. But if you're
I
not
have a
afraid to work with a voltmeter and a little bit of mechanical intuition, you can figure them out.
I have a MOPA Monport.
Yeah, well, we talked about that earlier. Remember?
Oh, that's right. You don't have one of those, do you?
No.
But no, that the MOPA's actually been really nice. It's pretty cool. I was a little disappointed when I first got it because it didn't have a connection for the pedal. But then I realized that they got smart. Instead of giving you the pedal, it's got a little button on the front of it that works as a pedal. So you don't have that pedal like bouncing around in the floor, getting tangled up around your feet. Uh-oh, he's going to get his pedal.
I've got a pedal.
And I got one of those too. Hey, I actually used the button that they sent with that on my F1 this weekend, and it is awesome. But you got to plug it into the back of the machine. You can't plug it into the side. Just pro tip.
You mean into the foot pedal spot?
Yeah, you can't plug it
there?
into the side. It won't work on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Ryan says, if you wanted support, I would jump into a company at least like Thunder Laser, and I think your starting price on Thunder is somewhere around $5,000 or $6,000. So you're paying a little bit more for it, but at least you're going to get a semblance of support. So, but yeah, and yeah, David said he's an electrical engineer by trade, so should be okay. So yeah, that's a lot of it. Just being able to understand the wiring in there and being able to check over that. A little bit of mechanical stuff with I had to adjust the actual. Mine had a lifting bed in it. Not all of them have the same style, but it's belt driven with some screws, and they were off. So it's you got to have your bed level, otherwise it goes out of focus, and you got to be able to make some adjustments there and such like that. But yeah, it's they're not all that complex once you kind of get in there and start working with them.
And the majority of them are built with the same basic principles. It's just sometimes some of them may have a little better quality parts than others. The little K40 that I had, it wasn't terrible, but it was just so basic that it didn't have any. There are things that, like a movable bed or at least an adjustable focus, that make your life a lot easier. And the little M40 I had, yours, mine, either one, it didn't come with it out of the box. I had to engineer my. Once I did that, it worked a lot better.
So Greg says they've been doing a lot of leather on the Lasermatic. Shop will never be the same. I'm wondering if he's talking about the smell.
Probably.
Yeah, I was. I know last week we talked about the fume extractors and leather and such. I was actually going through my supply, and I don't have as much as I thought I did because I was actually looking at another project. So I tried getting some locally today, but I couldn't find the right style in like a veg tan or non-chrome tan. So I'm gonna have to order some in, but definitely gonna be. I'll be trying that. I might not leave it hooked up to that purifier for too long if I start smelling like burnt cow. But yeah, it's a fun medium to play with. And I've also got a lot of that leatherette type stuff, with the two-tone to play with as well. So, but yeah, you get the wrong stuff or you get the wrong cut settings and you don't have good airflow, you're gonna smoke yourself out in a hurry. What else? Got another half hour left, so keep those questions or comments coming at us. We got Super Duty Jeff clocking in from Kentucky.
Hey. Gray Vikings has been working on Hog Wild, been working Hog Wild on mirrors, the Pirates theme. Cool. I love mirrors. Mirrors are fun. I just don't have a need for them. I've got so many of them already. I
Yeah.
can't get rid of them.
Well,
There's only so many things you can put on a mirror.
I have a stack of the little 4-inch ones, but they have like a white backing to them instead of like the typical gray or black.
Use the fiber, it gets it off.
Yeah.
I got the same mirrors.
So so that was one of the things I figure I might play around with the F1 Ultra is seeing if I can cut a box like a little LED box out of some 3 mil, and then do the engravings on the mirrors with the fiber and such. So we will see if I get around to that. But what else we got? You have a preferred font and size for the pet tags? I don't know. Do you have a stock one that works for that?
I got one that everybody seems to like. I can't remember what the name of it is, and my computer is in the trailer.
Hmm.
It's this. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. It's a weird little fun font, and sometimes people don't like it, but I used it the other day several times.
It's one of those
Yeah,
things that's fairly easy to change on the fly, and so if the person's right there, I'll show them a few options and scroll through them, and then they pick one they like.
yeah, and that's what I do. I've got a monitor that they watch, so I just select the text, and then I go up there and start scrolling fonts. I can't remember what the name of it is. I've got a few that I've come across. Yeah, it's not going to be on this computer,
Hmm.
or if it is, I'm not going to be able to find it probably. That Eris works pretty good sometimes. I try to go with thicker ones, but yeah, I'd have to look. That computer is in the trailer because I never take that computer out of my trailer. It's an older laptop, and I don't know exactly what the font's called. But I actually sold quite a few of those. The thing that was selling the hottest yesterday, which surprised me, was the bamboo pens. Like everybody wanted the bamboo pens. Like they wanted names on them. They wanted like business names, business logos. It was just. I was like, I'm glad I had extra because I had extra. Bought an extra bag, but I wound up selling quite a few of those, and then a few pet tags. One lady come by and got 2 or 3 pet tags, and then the little keychains, the little assorted keychains from Amazon. I had a bunch of them that I'd pre-made, like "Life's Better in the Country" or "I'd rather be fishing," all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people came by and picked those out, and they wanted that keychain, but they wanted somebody's initials or name on the other side. And so I just added the names and initials, and boom, let them go. So that was those bamboo keychains, and the pins were probably my 2 top sellers.
Cool. Nancy's asking, how do you install Monport 90 watt in Lightburn? Your computer needs to detect it first. So make sure that it's showing up in your devices. But after that, you do need to make sure with that one you need the Ruida version of Lightburn. So if you only have the G code, you may need to do an upgrade for it to be able to work with that. But after that, then if you add go to your devices and auto detect, you should be able to find it after that.
Yeah, a lot of the Monport stuff typically is Lightburn, like ready.
Well, but you still need the right version of Lightburn, and 90 watt CO2 cabinet style is going to have that Ruida controller in it. It's not going to be a G code.
Wish I knew which
But
one it was, but yeah, that's It's probably going to be a easier just to import it. There should be a config file to import. Because that's going to be what my buddy over here, that's what he got, was I think it was a 60 or 90 watt Mon port. The autofocus on that thing works pretty good if you got the one with the autofocus. Yeah, that's going to be the same one.
So yeah, it's the DSP version that works with the Ruida controllers.
KT332N controller. I don't know which controller that is. But yeah, if you look at your software or your paperwork or online, just make sure they there's not a what's the prefix or the suffix on it? It's like a LBRN2.
It's a LBDEV.
Yeah, light burn device. Yeah.
Yeah, if they've provided one, that's a good way to import it. But you are going to need to make sure you got the DSP version of Lightburn to work with that controller.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So they do offer upgrades, so you don't have to pay like the full price. If you just have the G code version, you end up paying the difference. But yeah, you'll need that if you're coming from a GRBL G code style diode up to one of those. But yeah, as long as your computer detects it, then if you can either import it or auto detect it, but ensure you got the right version of Lightburn first. Otherwise, you're probably going to run into issues where I can't see it.
I was trying to see if it came with a license, but I think that's optional.
It says it has already installed it. Yeah, in that case, check to see if they maybe had a USB drive with it. It might have drivers and a device file on there. But yeah, like I said, my only experience with Momport is with the M40. So
yeah, I had to go over and help my buddy over here set his up, but that was the very first one I ever did. And to be honest with you, I think what we did is I wound up installing it using the config file that came with the machine, because I think that was the problem. Is it wasn't one of those where you plug it up and hit Find My Laser. We had to actually import it. And that's the way the Thunder was too. Up at my buddy's, had to install it from a configuration file. Trying to look and see.
yeah, I'm looking on their website. They don't list the 90 watt as far as their user manual to double check. So, a lot of them often come with a USB drive on there, and then that usually has a lot of the files you need. So I would check to see if you have that. That's usually a best place to start. But
Ballard's saying it. His popped right up. So I guess it depends. Make sure you got the right cable, or make sure you're not going through a USB hub. Because I did have one the other day. Somebody was trying to install that the hub was not compatible. So I would definitely direct connect your USB during the setup process just to be sure.
well, and mine actually has two USB ports on there. One is for the computer to connect to it. The other one is like the offline drive, a flash drive. So getting that hooked into the wrong one, it's not going to connect. But yeah, hopefully your computer's seeing it. Double check that it is seeing it. I mean, if you plug in USB and it's Windows, usually it has that little kind of chime that it saw a device, and then go to devices, auto detect. It's probably going to find most everything from that point, and be able to upload it. Otherwise, if you can import the file, that'd be great too.
Forget me not. adjustable Z, if you're not cutting anything real thick, or if you're not just trying to test the limits of the machine, you're probably not going to use that a whole lot. But basically, with an addressable Z like that, if you're cutting 6 millimeter thick material, you can actually set your Z offset to go in 3 millimeters, which will, in essence, give you a more efficient cut, because the kerf will be more consistent, as well as it's going to minimize the being out of focus on the back end or the front end, depending on how you adjust it. But it can be useful for trying to cut through really thick materials. You can also, like on certain materials, engrave better if you're slightly out of focus. And so sometimes you may decide you want to do a test or whatever, and set 3 or 4 different different layers to engrave, but set them at different Z offsets to see what effects focal changes has on the look. So that's really the only real use of it. But it's fun. It's cool. It's nice to have. I'm getting to where a lot of mine's got addressable Z's now. The A70 as well as the Hurricane both have addressable Z now, so that's good.
That would be the wrong cable.
What you doing over there, Steve?
Well, I was just going to try to hook mine up, do a demonstration. But yeah, Nancy's saying it opens to S1. So you want to look for your devices tab down in the lower right. Click on that, and then that's where you can import, create manually, or find my laser, and then that's how you would add an additional one, and then it should appear in the devices tab, which is just to the right of that. So, but yeah, if you've only had it working with one laser before, it's always going to start that up, and you can actually set a default. So if you have multiple lasers in your Lightburn device list, you can actually select one to be the default. So
that is correct, sir. And that is going to be right here. When you go in here to your list, you can select one, and then you've got the make a default button here. But this is going to be where you import right here. Just have to hit import and then go to the machine files, and you can drag one in from there.
that's if they provide it. I mean, a lot of them don't. So
Yep.
the auto detect works 90% of the time if you have the right cable. I have my box of random USB cables here.
Oh, I got a drawer of random USB cables over here. And I bet I got 30 or 40 of those little short blue ones that come with the machines that aren't long enough to do anything with.
Yes, well, this one takes an A to an A, so it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, that would be.
I might be out of luck without going. Got extensions, but I can't seem to find my A to A.
Woo! Check it out. There you go.
Can barely see that. It's so small.
Well. We'll set that. One thing I do like about another thing I like about the Hurricane is if you put your workpiece in the middle of the work area, once you shut the lid, the camera is looking straight at your engrave. It's pretty cool. So you can actually observe what it's doing using the window. So is that that's pretty cool right there. Nancy, go over here to, if you can see my screen, go down to the bottom left corner, and you're gonna type in device manager. And when you open the device manager, it's gonna look something like this. Go scroll down through here and look for where it says ports. It'll say COM and LPT ports. Select that and see what you have listed under what port. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to make sure you don't have any other lasers connected during this, just to be sure. And I'm not sure which driver that machine's going to use, but it should be like a USB to serial or something. It's gonna have some information there for you, so you'll know which port to select. So, but just make sure that it's actually seeing it. Steve had a hard time with that cable over there, bro.
Found the right ones. See, needed an A to an A. And this one's long enough, I could almost jump rope with it. I say almost because you try to make me do it.
I think say I want to see that. I'm trying to do something cool, but it ain't won't let me do it. Got way too many cameras hooked to this computer. Oh, there it is. That's awesome. So that's the camera inside the camera that belongs to the Hurricane right there. There we go. So you have to go back over here and connect it in here as well. But yeah, cool beans, huh? While Steve is digging for cables, there you go. That's some basswood right there. Another little test piece, little basswood coaster. It's pretty deep in gray. What are you building over there, Steve?
I'm connecting this.
You seem to be struggling there, fella. All right, let me see what the comments is. I was too busy playing with my little piece of stuff. I don't have another one. Oh, Nancy says she doesn't have another machine, so that shouldn't be the problem. Can you make the screen bigger? Found it. Okay. I think she said she found it. Maybe she got it. Maybe she got it worked out. Yeah, this basswood just doesn't burn as crisp. That's what I would like for it to. Which now that I think about it, I don't even know if I set the focus or not. But I didn't. Greg, I don't know about learning Lightburn. I still learn stuff all the time because I only use what I have to use. I only learn what I need to learn. I don't try to learn all the little ins and outs. All right, let's see what it does just to go around here. All right, so I'm gonna update the overlay.
I just did what I told not to do.
What'd you tell I do?
I plugged it into the wrong USB port on the laser.
Oh my goodness.
What? It's...
Steve.
What?
That's ridiculous, fella. All right, so we're gonna put.
All right. Okay. I think I got this now. Let's see if it's. Are you actually showing something, or are you just doing stuff?
No, I'm just doing stuff right now. I'm just fixing to send this job.
All right. I'm going to make this so people see. All right. So I've hooked up mine, and it should be a similar one. And if you come into Device Manager, you're looking for USB serial port something or other. It's not necessarily going to be COM17, but that's what mine is showing up as. And then once in there, now I have mine set up as eBay 500 by 700. But if you come into Devices and hit Find My Laser, we'll see it should see what's connected to it once that port is in there. There we go. It's reading it. And so you should come up with something like this. So that would be like your KN, I forget what model number it was. It'll give a kind of the size of the bed and such at whatever COM port, and then the type. So this is what you're looking for. And then you'd be able to add the device, and it'll just ask you to confirm everything. So here it's converting those millimeters into imperial because I have mine set to inches right now. You could rename it. You want to make sure of the origin. So on mine and probably on the mom port, it's actually going to be rear right, but double check that's where it's going to home to. Needs to know that. And then just double check its connection, the type of controller, whatever you've named it, the size and its origin. Hit finish. That's going to add one to your list here. Now I've got a bunch because of all the different ones I've tested and not cleared off this machine. But then it will appear, you'll have your list of devices over here. And if I come down here and select that one, it'll show up. And here you see that it's ready. So it's actually seeing the laser. So those are the few steps to try work through it. So as long as your computer sees it in that COM port, you should be able to then come back into Lightburn, hit that devices, hit add new. It should find it, be able to read the controller to set them up automatically for you.
Sweet. Good deal. Ah.
There. Glad I found the cables.
There you go. There you are, sir. I've got to do a little work on the my exhaust hose over there. I think. I really wish I had a bigger. I really wish I had another fan over there. But yeah. Well, I've run the hose. I've got the hose ran down outside, and apparently the way the wind's blowing, there's a hole right below my feet down here where some other stuff comes into the building, and apparently the smoke is coming in below my feet a little bit. So it's not really effective at getting it out of the shop. It just kind of brings it around. So I'm going to have to add me a little extension or shorten it or something. But yeah. So that's the cool thing is I do like this camera and the fact that you can like open up a different window and use it as an observation camera for what's going on inside the machine. And that's because of the way that where it's put on the lid. I didn't think I would like it being on the lid like that, but when you shut the lid, it gives you an angle so you can actually see the engrave without the module being all up in the way. So it's kind of neat. It is a little irritating though when you're trying to update your overlay and you forget to open the lid, because it'll update it with that right there. But yeah, it's pretty neat. That basswood smells funny.
Really?
Yeah. It's like I'm not used to the smell of it. It's not bad though. But typically I'll just have it sitting here like this. So that's what happens if you update the overlay with the door shut. it throws this up there. Maybe you'll get to try one out. If they send you one that has all the improvements, I'm gonna be a little upset though, because mine's got like a sticker instead of the part where the buttons are. The net ones that they're coming out with now have like etched acrylic and everything. Mine's got a sticker. So it's a beta.
Well, I'll try to feel bad for you.
Gray, you would think it would work. I haven't done it, but yeah, it should work on the S1. And Greg, yes, you can because I've got a powered USB hub right over there that is mounted. Matter of fact, it's right below my fire extinguisher. If you can see it, that's what my MK2 connects into, and it is connected back to my computer by way of a USB 3 cable that runs up across the ceiling and back down over here. So yes, you can run an MK2 off a powered hub. Now, not all powered hubs are created equal, but if you get a good one, it should work. And I think I've got one in my Amazon shop that's under laser accessories. It's the one that I use, and I've got one there, one here, and then one on the other end over here by the Hurricane. And I can tell you that every laser in my shop works through it. That's a good question.
Well, short of a pre-finished plywood MDF.
I don't know. This old slick stuff right here does a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-finished is going to give you a slicker, smoother finish, even if you're painting it.
Yeah, Nancy, I just took a look at some of the manuals that you can download from Monport's site, and they don't really talk too much about the Lightburn install. But I think the first trick would be to make sure that your computer's seeing it, and so if you can open up your device manager and check the COM ports, and plug it in. If you see or if you hear Windows kind of dinging like it sees a new device and you should see COM ports update, that would at least let you know if it's actually showing up in the computer or not. If it's not showing up there, Lightburn's not going to be able to see it. And if it's not showing up there, then you got to start checking, like maybe swap out the cable, double check the controller, make sure that your like emergency stop, things like that aren't on. But that would be the first step of troubleshooting why Lightburn's not seeing it. So,
Yeah. Hey, let me show you one more awesome thing about it before we're talking about it.
what? Oh, that.
Yeah, look at this right here. All right, camera control, right? Update overlay. Yeah, watch this.
It's pretty good.
Yes, sir. Now, I will say the calibration process took a little bit. So if you do get one of these, when you start to calibrate the camera, get yourself some painter's tape and put over the LEDs, or either unplug them. Because the LEDs inside the chassis are so bright that it makes it a little more challenging. But yeah, that's that to me that is highly acceptable for camera accuracy, and that's with it being mounted on a door and the door open. So I thought I'd share that. I thought it was kind of cool. It's actually because I wasn't a fan of the way they had the camera mounted until I've been playing around with it for a week, and it actually does a really good job. Man, I got static electricity in here again. Every time I touch something, it pops me.
I think it'd be too humid for that.
Message them. They look cool if it wasn't 500. V, who you talking? She must not be talking to me. She's talking to somebody else.
Looks like they were talking about some LED pens from Alibaba.
Yeah, check that out. Oh, yeah. The Bat Shack logo.
Cool.
Yep. Have you looked at Aeon's new S series? I mean, I see them, but to be honest, Aeon, it seems like a decent enough machine, but it's not really something I'm looking at getting into. How about you, Steve? You gonna go get you one?
Uh, no, I'm actually looking at offloading my larger cabinet based CO2 on a friend here. Um, because a lot of the stuff I'm doing now doesn't require as much space. And I also have the that the A40 or the X40 A70. I don't know. And to do any of that longer stuff, and I'm not doing it like a production style. It's more of my stuff for one offs for customers and such. So if I was doing a lot of production, needing a fast machine, a lot of work area, yeah, I would be looking at some of those things. Aeon's definitely one of those that you're going to get better support with, but you're going to pay a little bit more for it. So it's definitely more of a business class kind of thing than a hobbyist or a small workshop kind of deal. But um, I've yet to see one in person. But everything I've seen from videos and trade show, videos and such, they definitely look like nice machines. And if you're in high production business, it'd definitely be something to look at.
No, Kevin, that was the logo I made for my little bat boxes that I designed for the CNC, and I burnt them on. I burnt that logo onto the bat box. It was a video I did on a just a project video, to where I made basically a little bat house out of some plywood and then engraved it. So no, Greg, I've not yet. I'm probably going to try to make a few more of them and put around in different places. But yeah, I'm not the best at catching bats or homing bats, I guess you could say.
I actually see a lot of them around here. Um,
I've I've got them, but I just don't know where they live. I guess
yeah,
they live in hollow. I do know I have a lot of hollow trees up the hill behind the house, so I don't know if they're going in those or what. But because every time the storm blows, a tree will blow down and I'll cut it up. It'll be hollow. But but yeah.
it was a couple years ago. We had a really warm February day, and there was still like a good foot of snow on the ground. But I mean, it was like 45, 50 degrees out, sunny, real warm. And I was coming out to the workshop from the house, and I was like, "What is that in the middle of the sidewalk?" And as I got closer, it spread its wings out. Well, it's a little bat that for some reason woke up out of hibernation and unfortunately found its way to the ground, which they have to drop down to fly, so they can't really take off from the ground. So I had to try
Yeah.
to get it onto a tree or something to where it otherwise it was just gonna it was gonna die there, in
Yeah.
cold night. So it took me a little while because it was not enjoying me bugging it, but I was like, hey, I'm just trying to help you out here, buddy. You should be sleeping.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's been 2 hours, and for some reason, I can't quit yawning. I am tired, sleepy, whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's been 2 hours, guys, and I've got. It's been a long week for me, and I know. I mean, you've talked, and I know you've been staying pretty busy yourself. So, hopefully, this next week, the both of us can get around to doing some of our backlog and get some of our backlog out, because I still got a couple of projects. I've got a project in mind for where's it at? Okay, right there. ASMR, the 10-2, the little dual laser. You'll be happy to know that I'm thinking seriously about making, since I've been sitting here and we've been having this conversation tonight. I think I may make a Vikings tag for a vehicle. So we'll see how that goes. I've got plenty of tags. The IR module on that thing should do a good job on it. So that's I think that's gonna be my project that I'm gonna try to work on this week. Is do a car tag, like a beauty tag for a car on the ASMR.
hmm,
So we'll see how that goes.
fun,
But
fun.
yeah, I figure I'll use the Vikings logo, because you've kind of been, just like sporting it all night. So figure why not.
Well, I mean, just be careful with that because it is copyrighted.
I'm not selling it. I'm just making it.
Yeah, it's not a full excuse.
Yeah. Well, we will see. Uh, yeah, a lot of bats. A lot of bats you can't mess with. You're not supposed to be messing with them. They're not like overly overly protected. Like they don't move them to sanctuaries, but they don't want you killing them because they're not endangered. They're just protected. Uh, but we have plenty of bats here, and I do think there are restrictions to what you can and can't do to them.
Hmm.
Like if you have bats in your house, you can't just go like kill them all. You have to relocate them and stuff like that because they are considered a beneficial animal, and they really have other than just being annoying sometimes. I don't think there's really any like negative medical effects from bats being around or whatever. So it's not like mice, you know. But anyways,
Yeah, they are illegal to kill in Minnesota.
they are legal or illegal.
Illegal.
I think they're illegal in most
They're
everywhere.
well, yeah, they're federal. They're on the federal endangered species list. 6 months in prison, $25,000 fine.
Well, they are on endangered.
They are on the federal endangered species list.
Huh. I didn't figure brown bats would be. They may be on the rest of the country. I know around here we got our share of them. Maybe everywhere else.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's certain types and such, but yeah,
So do your
they're not
part.
fun.
Do your part and build a bat box, Steve.
I I don't have a good place to put one here, but they seem to thrive because I'll see them flying around at dusk. They're eating up all the bugs, and I leave them be to do that because we've got plenty of them up here. So
Yeah, when we've been going to the ball games on Friday nights, man, when it gets dark at the ball games and they got those big lights on, they come out of the woodwork down there around the school. I don't know how many of them there are, but they'll have the bugs cleaned up in just a few minutes. Like it don't take
mhm.
them long at all. So
Yep.
pretty cool. All right,
All right.
well, I guess that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. If y'all got any ideas or things that you want to see, stay tuned. Send us a message. Let us know. I will be having my video of my first video. It's not my only video. My first video for the hurricane will be coming out here in the next day or two. I'm having to coordinate with Adam Stack because, like I said, with this being one of their newer machines and stuff, I was a little late getting it. So uh, I haven't got all the parts, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to get at least the preliminary of the machine itself. Go ahead and get that video out. And like I said, I'm gonna continue to use it and you know see if my opinion holds true. But so far, I like it. Even the fact that I'm with Steve, 4 inches more work area wouldn't have hurt my feelings. But even with the smaller work area, I'm still liking the machine. So we'll see how it goes from there.
Cool
But,
stuff.
but yeah. So what you got going on? Anything?
Well, I've got I dropped my kind of overview of the F1 Ultra yesterday. Did a little bit of a comparison with the original F1, but showed a lot of examples of what it could do. But I only touched on some of the batch processing and the deep engraves. So I am going to work on a couple of more, you know, detailed videos on those processes because I feel that that's when you're getting into this size laser, that's one of the things people are interested in. So I'm going to try to do some stuff. I did actually just take delivery. I ordered some legit solid brass coin blanks from a place here. I think they came from Oregon or Washington. But they're some of the blanks that I've been using. I'm pretty sure are not solid brass, and it's I think it's skewing the end result. So I ordered some of those. Going to play around with that, possibly with a few of the other fiber lasers as well. Look a little deeper at that process with 20 watts. Get a few projects out of that. But like I said, I have some other project videos just in general. Some we're rolling into fall here. We get some holidays coming up. Got some ideas for things to make for people or items to sell. So Want to get those out as well because those, it's always I always find it nice just being inspired by other people's projects. So that's what I like browsing through is some of those things because it gets my wheels turning on something I might want to make. So hopefully my videos do that for others as well. But and like I said, I've got some CNC stuff to play. I've got so many things I could play with. It's just time and energy at this point. So,
Yeah,
but
it definitely gets a little it gets a little hectic. So y'all just bear with us. But we do have our 100th episode coming up, and we're working on some stuff for that. So maybe there'll be something big, something fun. At least maybe we can have a good time. Maybe get Steve to do some dancing, maybe a little karaoke or something that night. So we'll see how it goes.
we'll see on that. I'll have to set up all the disco lights and you know I don't know,
Yeah,
the rave sticks, all that.
you'd be surprised what we can do with AI.
And now I'm scared. Good thing I don't think you want to waste money on that though.
No, I don't. I got better stuff to do.
But yeah. I think we've calculated out to November the 3rd. That Sunday is going to be our 100th live stream. And so yeah, we're working on some stuff to have some fun. Hopefully, some things to give back to the community because we really appreciate everybody that comes and hangs out with us on Sunday nights. I actually put a post on my community channel the other day for YouTube. Stumbled across a personal Facebook post where I had said, "Hey, I decided to start posting to YouTube again," and it was one of my first laser videos where I was just making a magnet between the laser and the CNC. And it happened to be September 13th, 2020, which I guess is kind of the unofficial birth date of this version of my channel.
It's your rebirth date, right?
Yeah. And so yeah, I put that post out there and thanking everybody. And like I said in there is that if it wasn't for you guys, it'd just be me talking to a camera and taking up server space at YouTube. So definitely appreciate everybody that stops by and hangs out and makes Sunday evening fun. And then same thing with our videos, our Facebook pages and such. It's the community for me. This is very much a hobby side gig for me. I'm my job and family take priority over this, of course, because my full-time job pays for my family to have have the life we have and such. This is more fun. So this year it's had to take a little bit of a back seat with just some of the craziness at work and whatnot, but I do appreciate everybody that hangs out with us and makes it fun. So because this is one of my escapes from the stress of the real job. So
Oh yeah. Well, just think about it, Steve. Next year, about this time, we will be winding down, and I will be in 1 year. I will be about 15 days from retirement, from my last day of working. So this time next year, you will be able to look forward to me coming to visit you for I don't know, spring. I'm not coming up there with all that snow. So you're gonna have to hold off until spring. What you doing over there, Steve? What you writing down?
oh, I'm just making a note to call a realtor and the witness protection program.
Oh, but yeah, it's getting so close, man. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep growing, and we're gonna keep having fun. So.
All
I
right.
guess until next Sunday. But yes, this is going to be 100. Not only is it going to be our 100th Sunday Night Live, but it's going to be our 100th consecutive Sunday night show. We haven't missed one yet. I think there was one show to where you didn't have enough service to like stream, so you were just kind of lurking in the comments.
Yeah.
But other than that, we've both been here every Sunday for 100 episodes, which I think is pretty awesome. So, Greg Clack, is the shack leak proof? I sure hope it is. What's he mean by leak proof? It doesn't leak in here, if that's what you're asking. I did the 10 on this 20 years ago, and it's held up well. All right, well, y'all have a good one.